Welcome back. You're watching The Money Show with me, Kavita Thapliyal. In yet another setback to cryptocurrencies, the Finance Ministry has announced that crypto transactions will now fall under the money laundering provisions. The move is in line with the global trend of requiring digital asset platforms to follow anti-money laundering standards similar to those followed by other regulated entities like banks or stocks brokers. To understand what this means for cryptos, going ahead, let's bring on board Smit Khakhkhar, Tech Diligence Delta Blockchain Fund. Smit, good evening and welcome to the show. Before we dive into this discussion, I'm joined by my colleague Sharad Dubey, who exactly is explaining us what does this move entail for crypto startups going forward.
Well, yes, the cryptocurrency transactions are placed under the gambit of Prevention of Money Laundering Act, and this is an important step from the government coming in, tightening their rules on the regulation of the digital assets. Now, do remember that Enforcement Director mandates two important things. One is evasion of taxes and other is of course forex valuations and money laundering. Now, the important thing over here is what was earlier happening, and of course earlier what was happening is that crypto startups were actually self-reporting and there was no mandatory regulations to be shared with the Indian government authorities. Apart from that, there was also exodus of individuals actually transferring their funds or actually moving away to tax havens or crypto havens, as we say, in places such as Dubai and Cayman Islands. Now let's see the impact which is happening in the ecosystem, and of course the impact is expected that the crypto companies may start reporting their financial statements to the Indian central government, and also they might be expected to open physical offices if they are doing operations in India. Apart from this, also important thing is that the law enforcement agency kicks in, and anybody who is evading taxes or actually money laundering, that person would be held liable. Apart from this, the important thing is currently you as a crypto shareholder, if you have invested in it, there will be a negligible impact because a strong regulation system has not been yet put in place. These are just minor regulation changes which are happening. That's what the experts are saying. But apart from that, even the volumes, if we see for the Indian crypto shareholders, that has actually fallen down 95% in domestic exchanges. Now, this is coming in from the November 2021 highs when Bitcoin hit its record levels. And even the volumes traded in the international exchanges for the Indian crypto shareholders, that is also down almost 65% from the highs. Now, we spoke about the volumes also fall, but the important thing remains is where the ED investigations have been undertaken. And of course, there are two big names such as WazirX and CoinSwitch Kuber, which would be in focus, and the analysts are estimating that the muted volumes are expected to go ahead at least for the next 6 to 9 months. But the main question arises is what lies ahead for the Indian crypto holders, what it means going ahead. And of course, the important thing is that the hawkish remarks are coming in from Fed, which might dampen the spirit. And in terms of RBI's development, they are also actually going ahead with the central digital currency, and that is a positive movement going ahead when it comes to digital tokens. And lastly, the fear would be that the important regulations would be coming in, but the larger regulation that needs to be put in the system so that there is more confidence in this asset class.
All right, so that's an explanation from our colleague Sharad Dubey. But then, Smit, back to you. How do you see this particular announcement?
I actually welcome this announcement. The reason being, this means that government is taking crypto seriously. So earlier, PMLA was on banks and financial institutions which could be used for money laundering or terrorist financing. So banks have a regulatory framework how they would do the KYC, how they would structure the transactions, they would report the transactions to the Financial Intelligence Unit of India. Now, as government has involved crypto in this, though compliance wise this won't affect exchanges too much because most exchanges are very heavily self-compliant. They were doing KYCs and asking for all sorts of data, how the source of funds and everything. But now the exchanges have gotten the responsibility of being reporting entities. So now if they find out a transaction or if they find out certain transactions which could be suspicious, they can directly go ahead and report it to Financial Intelligence Unit of India. Earlier, there was no such thing, like they weren't reporting entities. Now government can come and ask the exchanges or companies dealing with crypto for all the transactions that they have, and now it is mandatory, not optional. Earlier they were self-compliant, so they were doing it in their own way. Now the government will set a framework how they need to store the data, how they need to do the KYC, and whenever the government asks, the exchanges will have to provide this data. In case they find out any discrepancies, any kind of transactions which seem to be unlawful, they can directly work with the government and report those transactions.
All right. Now, what analysts are also viewing, I mean, almost in line to what you just mentioned, crypto companies may mandatorily have to report financials. That's a clear cut to go. Expect negligible impact on users because of this. This, I think, we need an explanation from you as well in order to understand what kind of an order it is. Law enforcement can act against entities for tax evasion, and law enforcement can act against entities for money laundering. Also, foreign firms may have to now set up offices in India. So is it also a way to make this entire working structure more transparent and uniform?
Yes, it looks like government is trying to make dealing with cryptocurrencies more transparent to identify frauds and tax evasion and money laundering. So on users, there would be very less impact because any users that are dealing with crypto, which is from the right source, wouldn't face any problems. Though, just like in normal banks, when you do a very big transaction or when the source of funds is illicit, banks sometimes ask you for data. Where did you get this money from? So we might see something like that happening with crypto exchanges, wherein if they identify certain transactions to be suspicious, they might ask users for more data and source of funds.
In order to have the genuine players in the market now, the rest will be filtered out, Smit. But then my question to you is, the volume are already decreasing. Will we see a further dip in the volumes also?
Uh, I'm I don't think so. We'll see a further dip in volumes. The dip in volumes is not only India specific. Volumes have been going down globally due to the meltdown in crypto market, and not only crypto, but a lot of financial markets have been seeing a dip in volume in the past 6 months.
We don't still have a regulator for this digital asset, but we do have it under various provisions, which are obviously for the benefit and for the in the right interest of the investors and people who put money in crypto. But how important or how more important it is to have a regulator now?
So as we see that more and more countries are approaching regulations, so I think regulations are very necessary for investor protection and to prevent bad actors from getting into any sort of financial paradigm. Right now, though there are not regulations in India, but in case you get into a crypto fraud or something, you can report it, and government actively investigates that. So definitely regulations will go a long way in investor protection and bringing up confidence with investors, like mostly retail investors.
But crypto frauds are on a very high rise. So, how do you think they are being sorted out? What's the modus operandi of these kind of frauds, and how can one complain?
So first of all, when a fraud occurs, you need to see how it occurred. Like, did it happen via an exchange? Did it happen, via your personal wallet? Depending on that, you need to report. Let's say if it happened via an exchange, you report it to that particular exchange. Then you report it to cybercrime, lodge a police case locally, and then they take it forward from them. So right now we don't have um, a section or a unit that completely deals with crypto transaction. Right now, it is mostly cybercrime where you report such frauds.
Now, looking at the earlier cases of crypto that we've seen globally, do you think having a cryptocurrency in India under the ambit of Prevention of Money Laundering Act (PMLA), it's going to be better going ahead?
Yeah, it will be better going ahead because this will rule out bad actors. Like, see, let's face it, laundering and all illicit activities happen in all markets, like even with banks, even with cash. So like putting crypto under this will enable better reporting and better um, better reporting by exchanges to Financial Intelligence Unit of India, and this will go a long way in ruling out certain bad actors from the crypto ecosystem.
How much do you think it will prevent the misuse of crypto, and how exactly? Just by having a KVC verified conversion set, will that be enough?
So not it's a bit complex than that. So with crypto, the thing is, it's all on blockchain. So you can always verify the source of transactions from where the money came in. So there are companies, there are tools to find out if let's say if you are an exchange, there are tools to find out that the crypto that a user has deposited, is it coming from an illegitimate source? Is the source of funds good? Was this address ever been flagged before? So go it will be easier for exchanges to report this data to the government, because there are already companies like chain analysis and companies which let you find out the crypto that's coming into your company or your exchange, is it from a good source?
Question to you, Smith. What exactly, or what is considered as money laundering? What are the consequences over here if one is involved in it, and why this announcement now?
So when we talk about money laundering, there can be a lot of stuff that happens. Like a lot of people can buy crypto and transfer it overseas, to evade taxes. That could be one form of money laundering, to evade taxes. Or somebody might just accept crypto from outside India to an Indian account, so thereby not showing that they have received any funds from overseas. So this could also be part of money laundering. So what I feel is that if as crypto has got into PMLA, all the transactions will have to be reported to the government. So let's say if somebody accepts a big chunk of crypto and they don't report it to income tax, so the government might still have a data about a particular person that, see, they have received such and so amount of crypto, but they haven't received it in income tax. So now the government can do the matching, and then according to various sections of PMLA, they can then scrutinize or penalize the person.
All right, Smith, thank you so much for being on the show and helping our viewers explain this particular notification from the government. On
My
that
pleasure.
note, let's take a quick break.